Okay, let's unpack this. When you think about global conflict, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Well, usually it's the big things, right? Ideology, religion, maybe old rivalries.
Exactly. Those grand narratives. But what if there's something, well, maybe more calculated underneath? Our deep dive today looks at sources suggesting just that maybe what seems like chaos is actually a kind of lately organized business.
Right.
And we're going to look at this through the lens of the Israel-Iran conflict specifically.
Yeah, and this material really frames that conflict, the Israel-Iran situation, as, well, more than just beliefs clashing.
More than just ideology.
Much more. It's presented almost like a billion-dollar business deal hidden behind a religious mask.
Oh, okay.
The idea here is that war isn't unpredictable. It's described as a sort of syndicate.
A syndicate.
Yeah, where the real driving forces, the real gods, so to speak, are things like oil, defense, tech, and control.
So tangible assets and power, not just beliefs.
Exactly. The argument is that while people suffer and politicians make speeches, there are others, maybe billionaires, profiting quietly in the background.
And the sources suggest this isn't exactly new, right? This idea of war finance goes way back.
Oh, absolutely. The analysis points to, for instance, the Rothschild family, like 200 years ago, apparently mastering this art of financing conflict. They supposedly had this silent rule. In blood, there's opportunity. Pretty grim stuff.
Yeah, that's stark. So how did they actually operate? How did that work in practice?
Well, the pattern described is, well, it's quite chilling, loaning money to nations at war.
To both sides.
Often, yes. Strategically buying central banks. Yeah. Using panic as profit. They weren't just reacting, they were investing in the conflict itself.
You mean like from Napoleon all the way to World War I?
That's what the sources claim, yeah. Bankrolling different sides. The strategy was apparently to own the peace afterwards.
Own the peace.
By being the main lender for reconstruction.
Yeah.
So you profit during the war and you profit from the rebuilding after. The whole cycle.
The whole cycle, yeah. Okay, so that blueprint, it doesn't sound like it's just history then. Bringing it to today, these current tensions, like Iran, Israel, who's playing that game now?
Well, the material points fingers at a few key groups. You've got Western arms manufacturers, obviously.
Right.
Global banks, hedge funds, investors in defense tech, and also, interestingly, those who profit from sanctions and oil market volatility.
So how does that work with Iran and Israel specifically?
It details how Iran gets weapons, often through proxies, black markets, roundabout ways.
Unofficial channels.
Right. While Israel, on the other hand, signs these huge multi-billion-dollar defense deals, often with the U.S.
Okay, but where does the money connect?
Well, here's the core claim. The same old banks and investors fund both sides.
Really? Both.
That's the assertion, hiding behind layers and layers of corporate structures, making it hard to see, but enabling profit whichever way the deals flow.
That's a pretty stark claim, isn't it? That every missile isn't just destruction, it's a transaction.
Exactly. The source puts it bluntly. Every tank bought is a share price pumped.
It really changes how you might view the news reports.
It does, and it highlights the financial engines, right? Every explosion potentially boosts defense stocks. Every sanction messes with oil and gold prices, which is an opportunity for traders.
And the aftermath, too.
Oh, definitely. Every ceasefire, it argues, isn't just peace breaking out. It's the starting gun for reconstruction contracts. New loans.
Often from the same banks that funded the conflict.
That's the pattern suggested. The same banks that lent during the war, profiting again from the peace. It's presented as profiting twice.
So what does this all mean, then, when you step back?
I think the central argument hammered home is it's not about belief, it's about business disguised as belief.
Business disguised as belief.
Yeah. It pushes this idea that, religion divides people, profits unite the powerful. It reframes the whole thing. Not a holy war, but what's the phrase used? A financial ritual.
A financial ritual? Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a perspective to consider. War as a profit machine, meticulously managed.
It definitely makes you think differently. So the material leaves you with this question. Next time you see the headlines, the missiles flying, the oil prices jumping, ask yourself, who's praying and who's profiting?
A provocative thought indeed. It certainly encourages you, the listener, to look beyond the surface narrative and consider these often hidden financial currents shaping world events. Thanks for digging into this with us today.